Yeah, same. I was like, wait a second. I just looked up.
I'm gonna fire the video if this technology will work.
Let's do it, baby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chat 10 Sports, where we're talking all things Tennessee sports and everything in between. Feel free to chat live with us right now, interact with us, or if you're listening after, connect with us through social media by finding us at Chat 10 Sports anywhere that you are on social. Also, if you're new to us, go to chat10.com and see everything we've got going on. But let's lock it in for a brand new show. Take two, baby.
Take two, baby.
Rock and roll. I am Trey Wynn, your host. Welcome in, everybody flowing in from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Obviously, big guest in the house, our guy, Rainey Vol here. We will introduce him. But Chase, let me get to you, my friend. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm wonderful. I just crushed. The reason I was running so late was I just crushed some 1885 wings. And they're like, are you guys more of like a breaded wing or just a plain like grilled or juicy wing? What is your preference?
I'm all about the skin. The Parkway wing is the standard for me, which is that air fryer. What about you, Rainey?
I like the breaded.
The breaded.
Yeah,
I like
1885 is like a breaded.
Pretty
It's got a sweet buffalo thing going on. It's so good. And I was so excited. Hannah brought those home to me.
I also had Buffalo Wild Wings. Well, actually had Buffalo Wild Wings earlier tonight, and that did a number on me before the show. So we're good.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
We're
proud of you make it. This is your flu game.
I'm here. I'm Michael Jordan. I'm the flu game. Yeah.
Obviously, Rainey Vol's here with us of Channel coming in here. If you do not follow him on Twitter, make sure to follow him. And in his bio, you can find the link to @channel_TN_. Be sure to join. I mean, the opinions of Austin B and Rainey Vol coming in every week. I got a chance to dive in. Obviously, love the content. We wanted to have him in. We do have some things in the works, so we'll keep everybody listening and watching here with us abreast as far as things we've got going when we're ready to do them things. But Rainey, appreciate you joining. It's awesome to have you. We're going to talk some Vols, but how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Football is in swing. Basketball is in swing. College baseball is about to really kick in the swing, and we got a hockey, man. It's good time to be in sports. Good time to be a sports fan. So
it is.
It's a good time to be alive.
Well, I wanted to get your take because obviously last weekend the Vols just fell completely flat in Athens, and we've had our discussion. I know you guys have had your discussion as well, but what are you coming away from that game with as far as obviously college football playoff implications? We know the rankings right now with the Vols at 5. The board's set for this week. I think obviously we're all on the same page that we all think the Vols will be in the college football playoff. But what did it tell you last weekend about the Tennessee Vols going in and having the game go the way it did?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Tennessee got dominated. I mean, they did get dominated, but at the same time, as much as they got dominated, it was only a 2-score game. Tennessee had their opportunities late in the game. I mean, honestly, they were two long passes away from making that an actual game. So as bad as they got dominated, they were very close to making that a close game. So, I mean, like I just said, as bad as they got dominated, it was they still had opportunities, and I would not mind playing Georgia again in the playoffs. And I think Tennessee has a very, very good shot at rolling into the playoffs because you got Ohio State and Michigan still got to play each other. They're going to knock each other around. You got TCU in the 4th spot where a lot of people think we should be. They got Texas this weekend. I think Texas has a really good shot at beating TCU. I don't really trust TCU. I think they're another like Washington or someone like that just has a good regular season. If they get in the playoffs, they're going to get tossed around like the wings we had earlier. Like they're just going to get tossed around. They're going to get tossed around. I just think that's the thing that's going to happen. But you got Oregon behind us, which there's a lot of argument over that. You got the Ducks behind us. People are like, oh, they could jump Tennessee, which I have no clue how that is even an option right now, unless Tennessee loses a game and Oregon runs a table. Because Oregon's schedule is far less superior than Tennessee's. And we've all seen what Tennessee's done this season. We've beaten, what is it, 5? Is it 5 ranked teams? I got to go back and check that. But it's 5 ranked teams.
Incredible.
but Oregon's got a little bit of stretch of kind of tough games, but nowhere near the schedule that Tennessee has. But to answer your question, I think Tennessee's got a good shot of backing in there. So
yeah, I feel confident. Chase, I mean, are you coming away from anything different from what we talked about Monday night?
Tuesday taught me a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think they really want to try to get a Pac-12 team in there. I really think they want to try. If Oregon runs the table and dominates, because you're looking at USC, UCLA, who else? They'd have a win versus Utah, which I definitely think they overvalue Utah. But with those 3 wins, and if they do continue to dominate like they have, and let's say Tennessee just like scrapes by 1 game, like in any of these 3 games they have left, it won't look good. And we were just talking. I mean, I don't want to be that conspiracy guy, but we all understand like they have a profit to look after, and the West Coast team helps out because you're already going to bring the SEC crowd. Like Tennessee fans watch a lot of other teams because it's the SEC world. But it did teach me a lot that they value this weird like wins with TCU. I like some of their wins. Don't get me wrong, that conference beats the hell out of each other because they play like a true round robin. But I'm also in the same boat as you, Rainey. Like I think they're going to lose to Texas this week.
I do too.
I mean, they TCU just can't keep coming back. Like that's another part of it. It's like they have to come back every game, and Texas is a great first half team, and there's all sorts of goodies there if you want to talk about betting wise. But it taught me a lot. If Oregon wins out handedly, I think they're going to slide them in over us.
I think, yeah, position wise, as far as for the Vols, and like you're saying, Pace, I'm the 6th spot, 5-6 spot for me, and it'll be the same thing when we go to 12 teams or whatnot. That the 13 and the 14, whoever's floating right there at a time like this with three weeks left in the season. But that Oregon team, obviously LSU's right there at 8 as well. But if they try and force that Bo Nix versus the SEC, maybe the Georgia matchup, there is that narrative that they could try and make happen, which I think I'm just over the teams that are going to get in and get their ass kicked from the beginning of it. But as far as the Vols right now, I think coming out of that game, like we talked about it, having that boxer analogy, the Dogs have done it, but the Tennessee, I feel like it's going to come out this week against MIZZOU just to move into this game and kind of see where we're at and see what we're thinking as far as full expectations. I know the line's right now at 21 for the Vols, obviously, but what are y'all thinking for MIZZOU? Are there any areas where they could, show, expose the Vols, or what do you think, Rainey?
No. I think if you watched after the game, there's a video floating around on Twitter. We've probably all seen it, where it's towards the end of the Georgia game, and Hendon Hooker is in that huddle on the sideline, and he is just going crazy in that huddle towards his players. Yeah. And he's doing it because he's a great leader, but he's also doing it because he knows he's played a terrible game. Mm-hmm. They all played a terrible game. So I fully expect Tennessee, in my opinion, to come out and hang almost 70 on these people. I think they're going to, and this goes for the rest of the season. I mean, we can get into that later if you want to, but like the rest of the season, I think Tennessee is going to go balls to the wall, like just straight up, no mercy, step on your throat. They had that loss. They don't like the way that tastes, and I love it because we haven't had this in forever as Tennessee fans. And going back to what I just said about the Hendon Hooker and the huddle thing at the end of the Georgia game, I just think, man, I think this team's going to come out and they are going to want to punch them in the face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and just a feedback as far as Hendon Hooker right now, I think he, coming into the last week's game, this is obviously the Heisman implications, what he could bring to the table and increasing his stock. But coming out of that, I feel like he's still in a great position to move forward, especially even in years past. I mean, these decisions aren't being made until, the final week and kind of pushing it to the last minute to push Heisman. But obviously, Tennessee's got a cakewalk for the rest of this year, just to be able to throw stats for Tillman to come back, get warm, Brew, and for obviously Jalen Hyatt to continue doing. I know you guys talked about it on channel, Rainey, as far as the Jalen Wright's fumbling issues. Like he's got to carry the ball, he's got to hold on to it. But finding, and this is the thing I want to see from Heupel, from going to that hey, we want to compete, we want to be here, to now we're cooking with some grease and we're kicking on all cylinders, to have those fine-tuned things. Because it seems like Saban, Kirby are those guys to obsess over the minute details of the game. And those are things I'm thinking for Heupel I'll be watching for, because obviously we're expecting big wins for the next 3 weeks. But it's the sound decisions, it's the sound, fundamentals of football. And these are the games where you can really see guys increase their stock for the draft as well. So it's an interesting thing to see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, have any other particular thoughts as far as Mizzou? I haven't, obviously they put 22 on Georgia. I don't know what they necessarily present, if you guys seen a ton from them. But Chase, what are your thoughts on Mizzou?
Total flip-flop as far as last year's defense, which is just atrocious. I mean, that Missouri defense last year was so bad. It was so bad. And they've really turned it around. Like they held Georgia. I mean, Georgia's offense is way better than you kind of even give it credit for. I mean, clearly what they did to Tennessee, which they could have stepped on the gas. Understand, like they really slowed it down the second half to kind of keep that game looking a little better than it was. But good defense, not a great offense. They're not a very good team. I just feel like that Tennessee should. I'm with you, Rainey. I think this is like a terror squad type deal. Like they're going to come out there and just light the fires, and they're going to try to get these style points. And that's what they need probably to get in. I think they're really going to have to just start hanging 45, 50 on every team now. Missouri's not very good. I think they're talking a little stuff like, yeah, we've handled some environments. It's like, well, have you really? Have you first faced off at a really pissed off Neyland Stadium? Not yet, but I think you're right. I think they're going to bring out the pain.
Missouri's just flat out, they're not good. I mean, that team is they're not good. And Josh Heupel has played college ball. He knows what it takes to get back in the conversation of a national title, because he is a top quarterback in college football back in the day. Like he was the top of top, one of the top. He knows what it takes. He knows that style points matter. He's not dumb. He's a smart coach.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's smart. He doesn't care. And I've said this so many times on the channel podcast. He doesn't care about your feelings. He wants to step on your throat and he wants to dominate you. He doesn't care about being your friend. You know what? Keeping your job, you're not based on like, oh, did you offend the other coach? Oh, did you make the other team mad? No, you are based on and graded on winning. And he knows that. He knows that. He wants to dominate everyone he steps in front of. And he's going to put in the backups if he's dominating you and still dominate you and not just run the ball. He's going to run his offense. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that's what's the beautiful thing about Josh Heupel is he doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care about sportsmanship. He's going to run it up. He doesn't care.
And see, I think that's kill or be killed in this league, and especially the top tier teams right now. I mean, it is dog eat dog, and nobody gives a damn. Like no one's going to come help you. You got to take care of yourself, and I think that's a very good tell of the difference between this coach and his staff versus prior regimes and what we've seen them do. Obviously, got some comments rolling in from Gavin here. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Other people, if you're watching the show, feel free to share, subscribe. This is obviously Rainey Vol. Wherever you're watching, if it's YouTube, if it's on Twitter. I know on Twitter, if you want to comment with us, jump over to our YouTube and you should be able to do that. For some reason, Twitter's not coming through on our side as far as comments, but obviously you're watching us. But back to just this weekend with Missouri, I know we're not expecting a ton. And there's a couple big other games, obviously playoff implications. And Chase, I do want to ask or get your thought on this about doing some fan or fraud for this college football playoff lineup right now, as far as who's real and who's not. Because I think teams, and this is something I'm guilty of, teams like TCU are putting up some good points. Right. Yeah. And I think some people, because of conference, are saying, they're out there and they could lose to Texas this week. You never know. So we could talk about that in a little bit just to set it up with you guys. But yeah, like you said, Rainey, I mean, keeping the foot on the gas, it's that Belichickian, we don't care, and obviously it did feel, and I wanted to get your take on this too, because you and Austin mentioned on channel that the defense did step up in certain ways, but there were times in that second half where clearly Georgia was trying to bleed that clock, where if they wanted to take it up a notch and really put it on the Vols. They could have, like you mentioned, and we talked about this on Monday. The rain didn't help. It's like the crap just kept going and it kept flowing on the Vols. But obviously, early in the season, we were talking defense. The offense is clicking. They have improved. But even I guess what I was getting at is the idea. Did Georgia pull the dogs off, no pun intended, or did Tennessee really step up and handle their business? Because I've heard it both ways from Vols fans, from Georgia fans, obviously talking mad noise, and everybody else that gets a shot at the Vols now.
Here's what I think, and Chase, I want to get your opinion on this. I think Georgia ran that offense and they didn't run it up because they know. Put this in better perspective. They paced themselves because they know how fast Tennessee can score. They wanted to bleed that clock off. They wanted to do that. And they knew their defense was good enough to stop Tennessee. But at the same time, they didn't want to give Tennessee more chances to score because it takes that one play. Like I said earlier, if Tennessee would have hit one of those plays, you never know what could have happened. Like our offense could have just clicked. Because that seems like how our offense does. They see something happen, and then it's just a tidal wave of just pure offensive, like just a tidal wave of offense on the other team. So I think Georgia didn't want to see that happen, and I think they think that's why they played that way.
Yeah. And I mean, I think
I can see that.
Go ahead, Chase, and get your thoughts on it too, because again, I can see both sides of the argument. You know, did they really stop them, or did they call the dogs off? But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely agree with that because it's just like it's like a basketball fast break or press, I guess, more in this scenario. Like they ran that first half press, or they ran some sort of crazy zone against a basketball team. You're like, what the hell just happened? That's how I lost by 72 to Maryville one game. But it's tough. You just get thrown at, and you're like, wow, they can't really score against us this way. Now don't even give them a chance to adjust. It's a perfect analogy as far as like what you're saying, Rainey. It's they stopped them. They just didn't give them chances, and they just held on to the ball. They knew they could run on them for decent chunks of yardage. Like Tennessee's, I thought they actually stepped up and played some pretty good defense. But they didn't have to play complex defense. They really didn't have to really work too hard when they did get stops, but Georgia knew that they could contain it. And it's just making sure that fire doesn't start burning again, because like you said, it's all about volume for Tennessee. Like, I mean, another good one that my buddy G pointed out this week is like time possession shouldn't be close for Tennessee. That's when you know it's not working, weirdly enough. Like they want to be down big time because they want to get those big plays. And those big plays missed. And that was the worst part about the weekend for Tennessee was those big hitters were overthrown. That's very Joe Milton of Hendon Hooker this weekend. So that was the tough part to see for Tennessee, because when you miss on those big plays and those opportunities, like that momentum carries over just like you wouldn't like a fast break basketball team. Like if you're just not scoring, it's a nightmare for you. And that's what it was for Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah, and once the bleeding started, it seemed like it couldn't stop, and I feel pretty good. You got punched in the mouth. I hope to see them come back quickly. I do want to bring up one team that, and I maybe I'll down this hill because I do have a vitriol for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You do. You really do, buddy.
I really do. And I don't know who or what, like who stuck this knife in me to make it hurt so bad where I'm like, the Ohio State Buckeyes did that. Great team. I respect their program, but there's just some Vols or some fans that I love to just like SpongeBob meme them and, talk a lot of smack. But I do think and Rainey, y'all talked about this too, the wind, the mismatch from a 1-7 Northwestern team. I think it's complete trash to go out there, even to compete. Look, if you throw the ball and your quarterback's a Heisman finalist and you're Brian Day, it's like run the ball if it's 40 or 50 miles per hour, whatever the hell the wind is. But obviously still at number 2. I don't think, and this is again, maybe Josh Pate turned me on to this idea of like who is really the best team and not who should be 1, 2, and 3. I respect the undefeated records, all that stuff, but the way it's going to shake out will be completely different. Obviously, it's meaningless in some instances. Do you think right now Ohio State is truly the second best team in the country, or should they be lower?
To go along with what you just said, I don't respect them. They can kick rocks. Just get the hell out
Yeah.
of here. I can't stand Ohio State. Like they're just always up there because they're Ohio State. It's just like all these other programs that are just like top-notch programs. For like Notre Dame, it's just like no matter how bad they are, the next year they're always ranked. But I kind of feel like it's kind of like a Georgia thing for them in a way. Like if they have to elevate their game, I think they can elevate their game. But at the same time, the whole like, oh, it was windy.
Yeah, this last weekend was tough to listen to.
Okay. Yeah. Like, oh my, it was the wind's fault. Like, no. I'm sorry. It was not the wind's fault. It was your terrible play calling's fault. That was the whole thing. You could have just ran the ball and scored 50 points, but no, it was the wind's fault. No.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's no.
Well, see, Chase, let me acknowledge Gavin's comment here. He says the Michigan-Ohio State game is going to come down to the weather. If the weather sucks, and if it does, he says Michigan will walk the dog.
Yep.
That doesn't tell me Ohio State's a great team to be in the top 4, and at least right now. And Taylor Lewan's out here vying for this and calling Kirk Herbstreit a homer and all that kind of, not homer, but maybe some bias was there. But Michigan, I feel, as far as many points they're putting up, they probably can do whatever they want to do. I feel like they could overwhelm Ohio State the same way that Georgia did for Tennessee. It just shows the fact that the coaching staff cannot adjust the game plan to overcome and be creative enough. Because again, if what happens if it blows too hard, if the rain's coming down, like if it's not in a dome or if it's not like perfect weather, like that doesn't make much sense to me, because I feel like you got to be able to go on any given day at any given time, which, I respect the Ohio State program, for the record. It's just all the fans that just
they're tough.
chat my ass.
I'll tell you what, they are like both their schedules have been just atrocious. Like looking down here at Michigan's, let's see. First game, Colorado State, terrible. Hawaii, oh God. To give you an idea, Michigan won by less than Vandy did over Hawaii. So
didn't Hawaii have like 50 players transfer? Like that?
Yeah. Vandy came out, and I remember like, man, you know what? Hawaii at home versus Vandy. I like Hawaii. Hawaii comes out to like a 10-7 lead, and then Vandy put up 62 points straight or something like that. Some crazy number.
It was like watching Bishop Sycamore.
It sure was. They're so bad. They are so bad. But Michigan only beat them 56-10. They're putting up some big points against really bad teams. Like you get 56 versus Hawaii, 59 versus UConn. But like nothing else has been just great. I mean, the Penn State win's nice, but they were at Michigan. And then we all watched a little bit of that Penn State Ohio State game. Like really, they blew them out in the fourth quarter. That was it. Which, still you blew them out in the fourth quarter. It's good for you, but neither team is just impressive to watch. Like when you watch that Michigan versus Penn State game, they just nickel and dime you everywhere, and it's so boring. It's so boring to watch. But where Ohio State at least has some flash, you're like, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr., that guy's a baller. I want him on my Titans team, that's the kind of stuff you look at. But Michigan doesn't have the flash very much to me. They're good. Like they're good, but neither one of them play a whole lot of people. Like Rutgers is a bad football team.
Yeah.
Bad football team.
Let's do this, Chase. Let's pull up y'all pull up your playoff rankings. If you're watching with us, pull up some playoff rankings. We're going to go through the list here. And Rainey, just so that we're going to go fan or fraud. Are you a fan of this team? Do you think they're legitimate, or are they frauds, and should they fall off and kick rocks like you just said about Ohio State?
Kick rocks, baby.
Yeah, but take your pick. Any team. I'll start here. And if you're watching with us, feel free to chime in as well. You can comment. And if you're watching, do us a favor, share the show. Appreciate it. And let's kick it off. I want to throw this out here because obviously USC, Lincoln Riley, I haven't watched a single one of their games. I haven't seen anybody compete. I'll pull up some of their schedules, and if you guys want to do the same, it's that. And Rainey just said this about Ohio State. They're a historic power that maybe they want to try and push them up, and obviously Lincoln Ryan's going to try. And I know Kirk Herbstreit gets accused, and even the college football playoff committee gets accused of favoring USC and Ohio State and teams like that. It seems like they just don't want the SEC to completely dominate the top 4 spots, so we got to squeeze some other teams in. But do you see USC? Are you fans or are they frauds?
I'm kind of with Gavin. Like, dude, they can score. God, they're so talented. Caleb and Addison, like those guys are really talented, but they couldn't cover us three. Like they're another. I mean, it's very similar. It's really similar to Tennessee, to be honest with you. Like they can put up points in a hurry. Different style, a little bit different style as far as like pace goes, but they can score. Their only loss is like at a weird, not at Utah, which that's another one that's tough to compare. It's like, well, Utah got their ass handed to them by Florida, but that was at home, week 1. You can give a little like leeway. So you're like, I don't really know how they compare. But then you also have to like do it again. But the Pac-12 is so bad against the SEC that it's like, what kind of standard can I give? Are we just doing this thing with USC? So I'm gonna go fan for now, but I think it's gonna come back to bite us all.
Come back to haunt him. Rainey, what do you think, man? Fan or fraud? Are they frauds? Excuse me.
They're so fraud. Oh my gosh. Ever since they came out against Alabama barking like dogs out of the tunnel. Like it's just like they came out like we're USC and then just got popped in the mouth like 500 to nothing. And it's just they don't play anybody. Like you don't play anybody. Like you said, their best win's Utah, and Florida smacked Utah, and Florida sucks. And I know it was like week 1 or way early in the season, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, you got a good quarterback, Caleb Williams. He's good. He's good. But Lincoln Riley bolted for USC because he sucked at Oklahoma. I mean, he was awful. He was like, well, they don't like me here because I'm terrible. So I'm just going to go to USC and bring my quarterback who is pretty good. But they're frauds, man. I just don't think they're very good. They're just not. It's the eye test. It's the eye test. They're just not very good.
I do think they still live off of that hype of the Leinart and Reggie Bush era where it's just like, what could they be? And I know we have our own, we have Peyton Manning, we have the Al Wilsons, the Jamal Lewis's, like we have our icons. But obviously, like you mentioned earlier about the Vols, we have a team where now we're sitting here having to think about how's the playoff going to work and how could this go? And it's like, this is all new to us. And I freaking love it. It's great. But it's one of those things as we see it shake out. USC's on a team I'm looking at that saying, hey, they're probably going to jump. And if this goes that way, I'm not sure what the percentage chance is for them right now to get in. But again, anything can happen. I feel like anybody, I mean, I'm even thinking as far as the health of these teams, if someone drops off from a significant injury in the last 3 weeks, knock on all the wood. But just how many things can happen there. But yeah, again, USC is on a team I'm sitting here shaking in my boots over necessarily, but Chase, who's a team that you're looking at and just piques the question of, are they real or are they frauds?
Well, I'm going to stay out west because I get bounce back from both because when you watch them play right now, they look really good. And that's Oregon. Oregon obviously got their ass handed to them by Georgia, but in a sense, so did we. It's the way it is. And they were both. Yeah, you can give that whole bull crap like it was a neutral site game week 1 for them, but it was in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on, dog. No pun intended. Yeah, but it's fan or fraud, Oregon Ducks.
Randy, I'm gonna let you jump on it first, brother, because I'm the Bo Nix stuff is impressive to me, but I'll let you start.
This is a really tough one for me because you've just seen so many times with Oregon where you think they're good and then they play someone of relevancy and they get bitch slapped. They just get right across the face. But I'm going to go, I think they're good, man. I think they're good. Like they look kind of good. They passed the eye test. Like they're playing solid football. They really are playing solid football. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bo Nix story of obviously transferring, and again, like Chase mentioned, the week 1, kind of beating that they took 49 to 3. Yeah. I do want to get y'all's thoughts of whose loss was worse between the Vols and Oregon against Georgia, because that's obviously a huge thing that Georgia fans are like, hey, check out my new badge.
Yeah.
and everybody's so proud of that. But it is something. My thing, and again, eye test check, but I look at scores, right? And we're talking about average point per game. These teams have to be in that 40-point range. 44, I think they're putting up, in maybe 46 average or whatnot. But I mean, wins over, a 15 ranked Washington team. Again, Utah at the currently, I think they're number 11, but 42-32. The big thing for me is you got some teams like South Alabama. They're squeezing out a win. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong schedule here. But let me catch up here. I'm sorry, 1 second.
No, you're good. Yeah, they got some good wins.
Yeah, they've got some
UCLA.
good wins against UCLA 45-30. Obviously the pack is just so weak right now. But again, Washington State 44-41. And again, I don't want to see a playoff because obviously those weekends, man, from the betting side, from just being a college football fan to seeing like, hey, who's going to knock who out? Like what's going to happen here? I don't want to see the ass kickings. I don't want to see these regular season scores where these good teams are kicking these teams. But if I had to say fan or fraud for Oregon, I'm going to say fan.
Yeah. The only thing that I have to say, like, doesn't it feel like to you guys? I mean, I think Oregon's playing really good football. I was a fan of the UCLA team. They were both undefeated at the time. They were undefeated at the time, and all Oregon had was a one loss. Chip Kelly's return, the whole thing. And they went out there and smacked them. And like UCLA's roster is a bunch of like 35-year-old dudes. And I was like, you got great leadership. And they just waxed them. I was like, oh, okay. They're really good now. Like they're really picking it up. So they look good. And week one's a little weird. Like you're Bo Nix. Like you got demons. Maybe this is a huge bounce back. Because if we're being honest, he and Hooker have looked really terrible against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those that caused you problems. But ever since then, especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, Bo's looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I'm really torn. I don't know how you guys feel. It still does feel like you would have much less of a chance of an absolute ass whipping if you were to put Tennessee in at the 4 versus the 1, a Georgia rematch, because that 1 versus 4 game has been awful every year, every year. So if Tennessee gets in, it still feels like that would be a more competitive game, right? You guys still think Oregon would get beat down, or TCU, or?
I think my thought is how much is Tennessee going to do in these last 3 weeks as far as hanging points on these teams and really just making those convincing, hey, this is the best. I'm thinking they could probably go 3 because depending on how the Ohio State Michigan game goes, obviously this week in Alabama, Ole Miss, there's a lot of things that could shake out still, but conference, finals and championships and things like that. But Tennessee, for the competitive side, I would love to see the rematch, because if Georgia's knocked out and we go to the final, we're playing somebody else, whomever that is. Oh, that gives us so much time to talk so much shit to Georgia fans.
Yeah.
My motivation right now. But Rainey, what are your thoughts, man?
On which question?
Chase, you're asking as far as the number 4.
Yeah, as far as the 4th slot. Let's say Tennessee, because like Gavin mentioned, like it all rolls around TCU.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to call it now. Okay.
All right. Lay it out.
TCU is going to lose this weekend. Again, Michigan's got to play Ohio State. Got to play Ohio State. TCU loses. Ohio State, Michigan, one of those loses. Tennessee loses in 3 spot. They don't have to play Georgia again until the national title game. Mm-hmm. That's just my weird scenario. So I don't think Tennessee has to worry about the 4 spot, because I think that's the scenario that's going to happen.
I can see that, just simply because you walk in and that 4 spot's like, hey, we got 5 ranked wins over here. We're averaging 47 or 49, whatever it's dropped to now since the loss. But it's like, hey, we're in the club and we're kind of getting close to VIP. We're not the number 1 guy here, but But Chase, what are your thoughts as far as Rainey's kind of scenario? And I hope we can clip that, Rainey, and put that all over social media.
Yeah.
And that you are spot on. But what do you think, Chase?
I hope that's right. I want to ask y'all this though. Let's say it's a really close Ohio State lost to Michigan. And then Tennessee doesn't really put up crazy style points till then. Oregon wins out handedly. Do you think they'd put in a one-loss Ohio State team over a one-loss Tennessee team?
You got to go strength of schedule.
You have to, right?
You have to.
Well, here's the thing, though. Oregon closes out the season with number 25 right now, Washington. 13, Utah. Again, Florida kicked the crap out of them, and they have Oregon State. But if they get through that, I mean,
and then they'll have a championship game against probably USC.
So that's one of those things where you got, if all these things play out for those teams to still be ranked at the time, again, how convincing wins, how that does concern me. That legitimately makes me think, damn, like, yeah, Vols, strength of schedule, ranked wins, but they could also rack up some good solid wins against good ranked teams, and especially the obviously the Pac-12 championship game. And then, oh man, like we said, the bias of the playoff committee to get that Pac-12 team in there, makes me nervous.
Does the committee regulate their votes on when you played that team compared to now? That's what's the confusing part to me, because you just said the 25th ranked team in the what's Utah ranked?
Right now, Utah is ranked, I believe, 13th.
Okay,
yeah.
So Tennessee has done the same thing and beat Alabama. So that's a top 10 team.
Yeah.
When they beat them, and they're still a top 10 team.
Right.
So you can't sit there and tell me that they like the Pac-12 doesn't even really have a championship game. You just play the best two teams. They don't have like an East or West. It's just like, oh, wow, we're the two.
Well, they do have North and South, but they don't play each other. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
it's one big fat list of teams. But the thing is, whether it's UCLA, whether it's USC, and again, if Oregon, like in this scenario that we're talking about, Chase, where they're putting themselves in that position, they're going to beat still a top ranked team that we're talking about, assuming that they're in that spot, having one out as well. So that's a great scenario for the sake of Oregon. And again, Bo Nix is hot. How convincingly are those wins against Tennessee? And does Hendon Hooker look shook after the Georgia game? And I mean, so many threads of narratives and the what ifs, but it's like, that does make I for the record, I could see them making that decision just to say, hey, again, Bo Nix returns versus the former school of Georgia where he transferred from, and obviously jumped a couple other places before maybe. But yeah, that's a little nerve-wracking as far as what the committee could decide to do, because again, like, not to bring up crazy topics, but OJ got off. Like things like that happen. Decisions are made that don't make 100% sense.
And I like Gavin's, like, there is a weird possibility. Like, I think that would take a lot. Like, you'd have to have like the total fall apart for the Pac-12. But you could realistically get 3 teams in there. I don't know if they would do that, but you have to really have some people fall apart.
Yeah. Well, I know we're past our halfway mark, and we typically try and keep half of that up for college, and we'll move on to the Tennessee Titans now. But any closing thoughts as far as college football playoff implications? I know percentages. I know the Vols are still obviously heavily favored. I think they're currently matched. Do you know what they're predicted or projected to be as far as 3rd or 4th spot right now?
64%.
For which
to make it.
Okay, just to make it.
To make the playoffs, 64%.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I imagine if that's the 4th spot, then the 3rd spot's even higher percent, or even a little bit lower. But all that. I just
think they're going to be. I think they're going to make 3rd spot. I'm just telling you. I just think.
Yeah.
You have 3 weeks of college football left, and I think it's going to be mayhem.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee is going to run a train on these last 3 opponents. I'm telling you.
And I'll say this
Josh
too.
Heupel is going to just full force.
That last week is going to be like, I can't wait. I'm not going to lie to you. Thanksgiving weekend, dude, even going at Oregon State, it's a weird place to play. Those are like supposedly the meanest fucking fans in the world. Stanford Steve was talking about, he was like, we went up to Oregon State one time, and he's like, I think I got pissed on me 3 times. Like, he's like, they were just awful. He's like, those people up there are just like the rednecks of the West Coast.
The Pacific Northwest. That's like,
crazy. Like, nobody cares about Oregon State and the Pac-12. Like,
Yeah,
But it's
it's
such a tough place to go, and
it's like Knoxville and Memphis. It's like
yeah, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
It's
And
like-
so they're just like, it's gonna be a weird, like, slobber knocker type game, and then obviously Ohio State, Michigan. So there's all kinds of like what ifs going on in these heads, especially because that'll be a late game, and you'll get your noon Michigan and Ohio State game. So it could be a weird last Saturday regular season.
Yeah, I want to throw Gavin's comment up here as we close out college football conversation. Mark my words, if TCU wins out and Oregon wins out, Tennessee will finish 5th, and the committee doesn't want 2 SEC teams again. Now, Gavin, if you're wrong, we will roast you one day, but we'll also do the same to Rainey, myself, or any predictions we ever make. So
I
this
will
is a
roast
safe
anyone.
Yeah.
Anytime I get a chance, I will roast you.
Let's look at the NFL this weekend. I do want to talk Titans because big things happening. Ryan Tannehill's back as a full participant, as Dr. Eva would be, the laser. I feel like
Sharks with laser beams on their heads.
laser beams on their heads. But I feel like Mike Vrabel is going a little Dr. Evil here, and he's trying to be creative. But I mean, obviously, there's rumors that Tannehill decided not to play against Kansas City and said, I don't want to go. Or, maybe Vrabel gives these guys a 1-game pass to say, hey, I'd like to sit out just to get fully at 70, 80, 90% or wherever I need to be to really go. Who do you guys want this weekend? Because Denver Broncos coming to Nashville. Russell Wilson is not riding. And Gavin, I'll do my impression later. But the defense, Patrick Surtain Jr., playing crazy football. I'm concerned that the offense is going to struggle. But Chase, what are your thoughts as far as Tannehill? And does it matter? Because Malik did make a couple good strides last week. But what are your thoughts there?
I don't know if we can do week 3 with Malik. I mean, I don't think the Broncos are very good. But also what made me think about it too was you posted that picture of your friend that had that terrible rolled ankle. And I started thinking about like, man, I rolled my ankle probably like last year in my 30s for the first time. And it's brutal to come back from. It's brutal. It's awful. And I was like, man, I don't know how Teddy's doing. I was like, if it's a high ankle sprain, that's going to take some time.
Well,
so
little context
out there hobbling.
Yeah, a little context there because this I'm going to try and pull it up if I can. But I've turned my ankles, both of them in one rec league basketball game, which don't ask me how that
back to
works.
back, right?
I mean,
literally
off drives, like I'm going up. Oh gosh, and, you're falling out. But this guy's 28. Reed Nix, my buddy Reed Nix, went to Lee with him. Fraternity guy, whatever. He stepped off of a curb. This dude, right?
Oh no.
He stepped off of a curb, and people, if my forearm is his leg, he's bruised from, bottom to top. And it's like, bro, you're 28, and Tannehill's probably getting therapy and getting everything done. It's like, and he's out here 2 weeks, high ankle sprains, just like Traylon Burks, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. Turf toe coming back from that. People are like, don't be such a wuss, man. These things hurt. And especially when you're getting nailed. And what are your thoughts, Rainey? Because people need to understand, like Tannehill, right now, if we can get wins or at least these overtime losses to number 2 seed, KC Chiefs.
Someone's
hungry.
I just had a burrito. No, we're good. But all that to say, the Titans going out last week, it surprised me the way that they did it, obviously, and we'll talk about that. But Malik or Tannehill for you, Rainey?
Well, real quick, I got an injury story. I was 5, and I was playing football in the front yard.
Way back.
This is how bad it was. All right. I was 5. I still remember exactly where I was. There was a shade of grass. It looked like it was high, and there was the curb of the driveway. And I rolled my ankle on that. And I've broken an arm. I've torn Achilles. I remember that injury more than any injury because I cried like a baby, and I was 5. That was a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
Broken arm and torn Achilles?
Yeah. Like those are bad injuries,
shit,
but dadgummit, I remember that one specifically because I couldn't walk for like a month.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything for like a month.
I was 5. I just couldn't do anything.
Anything fun as a 5-year-old is completely taken away from you.
Yeah. Anything. Like running, playing.
You can't ride a bike. Nothing.
Yeah, I can't do anything. I can't even get on the school bus. I can't even anything. And I just remember that injury being like horrible. Like
Yeah.
it was so bad. And I was a young kid, and that stuff heals like
Yeah.
night and
Oh,
day.
yeah.
But when you're like in, almost 40, that stuff takes like years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can. I mean, there's some guys
So
obviously like sorry, I don't want to cut anybody off. I think we have a little bit of a delay happening just so that we all three are on the same page. But no, I mean, yeah, I've had injuries where it's like, this thing sounds like it should hurt X. How bad does it hurt? It's a 10. It's a splinter. You wuss. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? But all that to say, I do think Malik did do some like really good things in the first half. And that was the thing. And shout out to Mike Herndon and Zach Lyons of F-Words Pod. Mike Herndon's show, they were doing some film breakdown. There's one throw. I mean, this is the reason that he was rated to or projected to be a first-round talent, because there's a throw where he's on his right foot and throws it to Austin Hooper, puts it, I mean, perfectly where it was. And I mean, great look. It's obviously something.
it was that back shoulder throw.
Yeah.
Yes, some of those, and there was another couple throws that he just made. All right, this is what you want to see. And my conversation that we can have tonight or other times is looking forward, because we talked about salary cap in 2023. Will Tannehill be on the team if Malik does have to go this weekend? I mean, if he performs and they win and yada yada yada, are you looking at not sitting Tannehill now, obviously, but looking towards next year and saying, hey, we got a guy that we can rely on? I guess what I'm getting at is the idea, not of a controversy happening, but if Malik, I feel comfortable with Malik if they can get Traylon Burks back, have that threat on the outside, let Henry and obviously company. I want to see more Jig. I want to see more Hooper. Get them the ball. Let your playmakers make plays. But if Malik goes out there, are we content with it, or do you just want to go back to Tannehill to see how badly we can beat teams?
Malik Willis, if he has someone that can cut over the middle, and this one play in my mind just sticks out of the preseason, where Malik Willis in the pocket stood high and threw it straight to Traylon Burks, and he just streaked over the middle, caught it, boom, gone. I feel like if Malik Willis has an intermediate catcher, an option, Chase, exactly, that he can make things happen. Because in the last game, you saw him from the first game to the previous game that we just watched. People can say what they want, and you see so many comments like Malik Willis trash, he sucks. But I saw some flashes in that game where you were like, holy crap. Like the throw down the sidelines to Conley, that should have easily been caught. I mean, you can't throw that any better. And who was the other pass in the game where it was so perfectly thrown and just dropped? I can't.
Well, there was one play that Cody Hollister.
That was Cody Hollister, yeah.
Turn around
Cody
the
Hollister.
damn pitch, and I'm like, first down. It might have been a third and mid or whatever it was. But it's like this guy over here still doing just. I mean, he's the Nick. Who's the guy that dropped that wide open touchdown pass? I forget his name. Mariota was still the quarterback, but just wide open drop touchdown, and it's like they pay you to play this game, but. Yeah, Rainey. I mean, I think the issue there for me is this issue of separation for our receivers, because, again, like the best defense in the league's coming through, and I feel like we could potentially see if this thing goes poorly, because I didn't anticipate us winning or competing against KC the way that we did. If this thing goes bad, we could see coverage sack and Malik hold the ball too damn long, yada yada yada. But my issue, can Traylon Burks be enough to make something happen this week as far as the receiver group? Because not a single catch last week for the group.
Here's the thing. This coaching staff, like this defense is lethal. I mean, lethal, like incredibly aggressive. They bully you, they hit you, they let you know that they are they're a force. Like they're a force. But Todd Downing.
Oh God.
Let's talk about
Downing.
it. Here we
go. Let's just dive into this sorry, I'm gonna say it, piece of trash.
Yes, sir.
He is. This is my full on opinion, and that's what I love to do is give my opinion. I'm a fan. I'm watching as a fan. You can't baby Malik Willis. Let the dude go. Like, let him go. You have nothing to lose. Your defense is dominating a game against Kansas City. I mean, dominating. I get you want to, not take a whole lot of chances and make a whole lot of mistakes. But dude, you're playing Kansas City. They can't score. And eventually, if you don't score, they're going to score more than you because that's just who they are. So the progression of Malik Willis from the Texans to KC was big.
Big.
Let the dude go. Let him do what he does. He's not a pocket quarterback. Don't make him a pocket quarterback. Todd Downing, call plays that I get your receivers don't make separation. But Trey, not Tress. I'm gonna call you Tress. Tress. You put out a poll earlier in the week that said whose fault was it, and you had a number of options. Todd Downing, wide receivers. I chose wide receivers, but Todd Downing is a quick second because the wide receivers dropped balls that should have been caught that would remove the change. But Todd Downing, dude, why are you so predictable? It's so predictable. Every single possession is so predictable. The formation we line up in, every defense knows what we're doing. I picked up Denver's defense this week in fantasy football because they're playing the Titans, because Todd Downing is too dumb to realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to do the same thing every possession and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's unreal to watch, and it pisses me off to the fullest.
Well, I know Mike Herndon, I wanted to point this out, just given the predictability of the calls, but from Matt LaFleur to Art Smith to now Todd Downing, one thing has been predictably consistent, and that's first down runs. And Mike made a great point. We don't know this. Maybe it's a Vrabel thing of saying we're just going to establish the run. And here's the thing, guys, they're 5-3. Todd Downing does suck. Yes, both things can be true. We have a good team. ROC sucks. We have no receivers. We are still winning, finding ways to win games because Mike Vrabel is the ace in the hole. He is the guy that's going to make decisions. And I think this weekend, too, against the Broncos with Nathaniel Hackett, we might see grandmaster level chess, and the guy over here is struggling to be like, oh, wait, I thought the rook could only do that. It's like, yeah, I hope Vrabel schools this kid, right? And it's one of those things. I do think, again, 1A, 1B as far as the issues, but there are issues where play designs, right? You have to have your offensive line, or you have to have your tight end stay with your offensive line to help chip before they can even release to routes. And then that's what we saw last week against Kansas City. These two guys are covered by basically three guys from corners and safeties because your tight ends aren't making an underneath threat for them to pull it down. It's like, Todd, pick a side. Are you going to run the ball or are you going to pass the ball? And again, the future of the Titans, when do we blow this thing up and just commit to a 2022 style offense where we can sling the damn ball? We can see Hendon Hooker style touchdowns in the new stadium whenever that thing opens up versus this ancient. And I get it. If it works, it works. But how long can you make it last when you have so much money going to positions that are not paying out for you? And just say, let's just blow it up. And again, future conversation. But I agree, Rainey, as far as Malik and what we're talking about there. He made big strides. Let him see a great defense, and let's get his feet wet and say, look, bud, that's the deep end down there. We're going to jump in there this time and see if you can tread some water. But I'm cool either way as far as the Tannehill versus Malik conversation, just because one dude or two dudes, Derrick Henry and Michael Vrabel.
Yes.
Especially this week. You can beat this Broncos team with either one. With Malik, if Tannehill's 70%, don't do it. Don't risk it, because that defense can also bring pressure and get after him, and that takes him out the whole season, which you're going to need Tanny later on. But why don't you go ahead and play Malik, like you said, Trey? Get him developed against a really good defense.
Wait, what's that word? We've never heard that word in Tennessee.
Development.
Holy mother of what? Think about it. That's a great point. I mean, it's just sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, and then but the other thing on the Todd Downing situation, doesn't it feel like so with Art, very similar plays, but not the same play calling. Like Art had really good designs of when to run those screens.
Mm-hmm.
Art had good ideas whenever to make certain little routes. Like we've had a couple times, or a quick play action or a fake bubble screen to a little mid cross for Robert Woods. Like we had that a couple times early on. That stuff works, and it's like, oh yeah, that'll hit, because you're not going to get huge separation, but you do have to have smoke and mirrors. And it looks like it's the same plays, but at the worst times. It's like if when you blow that play up, that's supposed to be your home run hitter, and you're just like you got a grounder to first,
Yeah.
Here's a play real quick that just set me off for it. I wanted to jump through my TV screen and strangle Todd Downing. Was it a third or a fourth down run? It was like 3rd and 3 or 4. And they handed off to Hassan Haskins.
Yes, 3rd and 9.
What are you doing? If you're going to hand it off to Derrick freaking Henry. What are you doing?
It is the Adam Sandler line. I feel every fan, just like you were probably at your TV, you blew it. What are you doing? Because here's the thing, whether it's been draft picks, when people are lighting up Twitter and we're all saying the same thing, the offensive line is trash because Isaiah Wilson and yada, 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 and Dylan Radins. But when we're making play calls like this from our own couches and saying blah, and yeah, thank you.
It just reminds me of, you just brought up Adam Sandler, and it just reminds me of Billy Madison when he tells the story of the boy who lost his way or the dog. I can't remember.
Oh
what
God,
it is.
yeah.
Yeah, and then at the very end, like he thinks it's the most creative story ever, and then the guy's like, "That is the dumbest." It's the same thing.
Wait, okay. I'm gonna take it one step deeper.
Go.
Todd Downing, to take Chase's point, he doesn't know when to read the room to say, "Hey, the defense is doing this. We're having success here. Let's try a Malik reverse pass or reverse handoff." What the hell?
God, yeah, that was the one.
Getting cute 101. Excuse me.
Are you talking about the jet sweep?
The jet sweep, yeah.
He's touched the ball 0 times.
I know.
All season.
And he clearly doesn't know how to take that handoff.
Let's do it.
Let's kill the kid's confidence in the middle of the process, which, I mean, that's just, and here's the thing. Maybe that's his own little issue now, is he doesn't want to do it again. But here's a big kicker too. I want to throw up Gavin's comment here. I would love to see the Tennessee Titans run the spread when they have the Titans play. I'm sorry, wrong comment here. I was actually really impressed with how they drew up the option with Malik. They need to treat him like Stetson Bennett, run sprinkle in the option and let it rip on play action. Bingo. That's how we make the playoffs. That's how we actually go against the Bengals and have a threat. But then our offensive coordinator gets away from that shit. Excuse my French. You have Derrick Henry. You got Derrick Henry to sit here, and the time is clicking and ticking and talking, and that age is just building up where Henry's not going to be here forever. Yeah. So again, when I'm watching this game and Hassan Haskins is taking that handoff and Derrick Henry, that camera is on him for a reason.
And he's like grabbing the shoulder pads like that.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell am I? What am I doing over here? What are y'all thinking at home?
I'm the king.
Yes, they call me the king around here, but here I'm on the sideline. Ridiculous.
And he's been Superman here lately.
Yeah,
and it's Henberg.
Always been like that. So
he's always been like that, but this is to the point where it's like the lowest it's been as far as talent around him, and yet he still does it.
He still dominates. It's just like one of those things. It's like you have a 3rd and like 4, 3rd and 3, and they still bring in the passing running back. Dude, put the man out there. Yeah. Like that's the biggest distraction for any defense alive, and I don't understand it. We're gonna take our best player off because we have 3 yards a game. You can literally walk and fall for 3 yards, but no, let's take Derrick Henry out and put in Hassan Haskins or a 3rd string running back. Like I just.
I like Hilliard. I think Hilliard was the better option.
I think Hilliard's good. No, he's good.
I think he was the better option as far as what we needed. When it comes to like between him and Foreman. Obviously, Foreman's doing great stuff over in Carolina right now for this last couple of weeks. Good for him. But it just doesn't it wouldn't have worked out as far as him getting touches. Like Hilliard was a better option. But now you have Haskins playing over him on third down. It's like, well, that's not working out. Like Hilliard's a much better option. So that's another part of it. It's like, what the hell are we even doing when it comes to the players we're choosing and like.
Well, if I can try and get inside the mind of a crazy man named Todd Downing, I understand the idea of thinking if Henry is on the field for those third and shorts or whatever it is, there's no reason for them to not pack the box with every guy within 3 to 5 yards of that line of scrimmage, right? Like that is one tell. But here's the thing. If you're going to run the ball every time on first down and try to establish the run, don't abandon it on third down whenever it matters. And the game's on the line to at least extend yourself to get 4 more damn downs. That's just, again, it's like we have all played Madden. We have all seen high school football and all seen college football. You get a grip of the idea of, hey, this is working. This is not working. This team is really good at stopping X. And one play I have to see more of, it blows my mind because it was right there. And for so many years, Russell Wilson used the read option to light teams up. And Malik did it this last week. And again, like, Todd, like, why are you abandoning the read option?
He stops what's working.
Choose between Malik, who can scoot, and Derek freaking Henry. I don't want to make that choice. That's a lose-lose in some way.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing in all of sitcom television. Michael Scott, keep it simple, stupid.
KISS. Hurts my feelings
Keep
every
it
time.
simple,
Every
stupid.
time.
If it's working, keep using it until it doesn't work anymore. But Todd Downing's like, nope, it's working. Let's go away from it.
Let's
Let's not get too crazy there, Gavin. Jim Chaney, long ways away. Long ways away, bro.
Well, here's one thing I do want to talk about. We can get kind of NFL general here, but obviously Frank Reich, we talked about him being fired. This is crazy. Jeff Saturday's coming in. It's actually happening. This is not This is not a satirical moment in NFL history.
We are laughing.
We
are laughing.
Here's the thing. I put a poll up this afternoon and just thinking Jeff Saturday is a guy, and this is not my point in bringing up the comment here as far as over Downey. Jeff Saturday could have success. We can talk about that in a second. But if Frank Reich is available, I saw, according to, I forget which outlet it was, but the favorites to land Frank Reich for offensive coordinator happened to be our very own Tennessee Titans. And it's one of those things, like, again, the timing of the detonation of this roster for the 2022 season, if they go that route with Frank Reich, again, I don't know what it looks like for him. Obviously, things with Matt Ryan went to crap. Carson Wentz went to crap. Phillip Rivers went to crap. Hold on, let me go. I'll keep going. And it's like Dwight Schrute. Let me finish. But how many quarterbacks does the guy have to burn through before you're going to hire him on to touch your rookie quarterback, let alone take over your whole offense after he just SHIT'd the bed, if we're going to keep it polite? But also, and again, Jim Irsay is always there. But I want to talk about the Colts because that team's a dumpster fire and a lot of conversations happening. Yeah. But the thing is, outside of Peyton Manning and outside of Andrew Luck, which they struck gold with those two players, if they did not have those, we would have continued to see what I believe we've seen the last 2 to 3 years of mediocre, predictably bad football. And there's still people out there like Dan Orlovsky picking these teams to win the AFC South over the Titans, who continued to grab themselves by the crotch like Marshawn Lynch and jump into the end zone every time we win the AFC South. But my thing is, guys, like Jeff Saturday, is there any surprise when it's Jim Irsay behind the curtain?
No. Those takes are like, tell me you don't watch the Colts without telling me you don't watch the Colts.
Yeah.
Booyah.
And tell me, Dan Orlovsky, that you didn't run in the back of the end zone, because that's what you did. You ran straight out of the back of the end zone.
Sure
your takes are irrelevant because you are the dumbest QB in like the history of mankind.
It wasn't like a toe on the line. Like he legit 3 steps.
He white. He did like the Packers. What's it called? The
Lambeau leap.
The Lambeau leap into the crowd, basically, without leaping into the crowd. So it was just like, yeah, your opinions are irrelevant.
Yeah.
But Jeff Saturday was basically saying in his press conference that I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to pump you up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He got people motivated, but
that's my thought.
They got a lot better coaches on that staff they could have hired.
So did Bush Jones. He got us motivated. Let's see how that happens, though.
Exactly. How many pressers have we seen as Vol fans where they're pitching you one coach? But Chase, my point is, How disrespectful is it for Jim Irsay to pick a guy that he's known? And I get the relationships there, but never having a day of outside of high school football coaching. So many, and I get it. If Frank Reich is gone, his staff most likely is going to go, and whomever he can retain with whatever position he gets next year, cool. But there's so many guys around this league right now. Like, I would be terrified if the Colts went out and actually hired a guy like Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
And my thought is, like, Jim Irsay is just sitting here, like, and again, I don't want to throw any shade at him because I know he gets, you know, it goes deep in that family line, but it's just crazy to see how this team, these owners, and again, Daniel Snyder, it's a flipping mess in Washington, but I don't think the Colts, until they strike gold again with a quarterback that's a generational talent 3.0. I mean, how often do you get that? It's insane. But all that to say, yeah, I mean, all that to say, I think the Colts are a dumpster fire that is full of tires, and it's going to be burning for a long, long damn time. But any other things this weekend as far as NFL games that are piquing y'all's interest, bets, or anything that you're looking at trying to make some money? Because I will say this, as we look at the Broncos again, give me some Derrick Henry, and I'm going to go 2 touchdowns as far as a little prop bet this weekend. And I do have an idea for us. Obviously, Rainey's going to be a revolving guest on here from time to time. But I'm trying to guess a little thing where, Chase, maybe we put $10 a weekend to see how much money we can come away with on 2 or 3 picks.
Love
parlays,
that.
props, whatever we want to do. But what is interest of you? What is piquing your interest this weekend as far as NFL games, Rainey?
I'm just going to stick with the Titans Broncos. I'm going to put a bet out here. I don't think Derrick Henry goes over 100 yards. He's under 100.
Which is not good statistically speaking.
Denver Broncos defense is legit.
Yeah.
Legit.
Not my favorite thing to hear, because it is, again, like, they have to come to play. But again, you did say the same thing. The Titans defense is lethal.
Mm-hmm.
And how many points can they create, or how many turnovers can they create where the Titans offense can squeak out 3 points?
Yeah, this is gonna be like a 10-9 game.
It's gonna be so ugly. Look, if you're not a fan, please don't watch this game.
Well, I mean, if you're not a fan,
if
you're not a fan of the Titans, period, don't watch Titans.
Yeah, it's boring.
That's basically what you need to say. So
yeah, especially going like as fans, like going from Saturday to Sunday now. It used to be kind of the opposite. Now it's totally different as far as like the entertainment value. Like you believe in both teams to like be in games every time, but Sunday's like, okay, we're gonna be in it 14-9 or 17-9 in the fourth quarter.
It's funny that you say that, Chase, because just last week, my sister and I and my brother-in-law were watching the Titans game, and they had like 19 seconds. It was like this week or previous week, I can't remember, before half. It was like 19, 20 seconds. And my sister was like, "You have time." I'm like, "No, this is not the Vols."
They don't do that.
They don't do that. I'm sorry. Like, you don't have any time. So
I'll tell you one that smells stinky to me. No Josh Allen. Vikings plus 3.5. I feel like I'm going to be an absolute sucker for taking this. For some reason, that's like a Vegas is like,
yep,
yeah, go ahead. Take this plus 3.5.
You deserve it.
And and I just downloaded my apps last night. You know, won about $70. So your boy's feeling hot. I haven't bet in 2 weeks. Put myself in timeout.
I did the same thing.
And I'm looking to be stupid again. And I'm probably going to take that plus 3.5 with the Vikings.
You know, here's the thing, though. I'll say this. You're not crazy. Because, I mean, I know last week, obviously, Bill's coming off of a loss to the Jets, a good Jets team. We've talked fan or fraud about them several times, and they've stuck around. Sauce Gardner continues to make an impact. Probably going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year or in the top 3. Should be. Mm-hmm. But Josh Allen, just to branch off on that as far as his injury, ulnar nerve, like Marcus Mariota dealt with that, was losing some, and I don't know the severity of it, but lost feeling in some fingertips and whatnot. You know, if he is out, I forget who the backup is for Buffalo, but if I recall, is it AJ McCarron or has he gone to some other team?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you who it would be. And obviously, you know, they've recently just picked up, I believe, say it for me, somebody. Naheem Hines.
Hines, yeah.
Yes.
Naheem
I picked him
Hines.
up on my fantasy team as well. But that would be an interesting game as far as that bet chase. Whew, I'm gonna, just like Anakin and Padme, you're going down a path I can't follow. When it comes to
Yeah.
that.
Listen. If you guys can watch one game all weekend, I want you to watch this game. Please, everyone tune in to the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears.
Oh shit!
Absolutely.
Game of the year is happening right there. I'm telling you right now.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a shit show of just pure stupidity, and it's going to be amazing to watch.
It'll be high scoring, but with just, like you said, just the dumbest scoring.
God, it's going to be horrible. Like, there's going to be like 5 passes that are thrown backwards, and it's just going to be great. Like, just
you're going to get an
into
exciting
Detroit.
Justin Fields run from just a terrible coverage.
And then he's going to run 50 yards and then throw a pick 6. Like, it's going to be great. It's going to be the most entertaining game you've watched all season.
I'm not going to be
a
shocked
great
by
slate
that.
this week.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire out here because I'm like, what is the game? You might have a team. I mean, damn.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch. You might have Seahawks Bucks in Germany.
Could be cool.
Yeah, sauerkraut me up, baby.
We'll love that Germany game.
I'm going to show up with my big ass mug and be drinking a beer. I'm looking at some other games, though. I'm not going to be shocked if obviously we're going to see the weekly, how the hell did that team beat that team? If you guys look at the schedule, I'm going to check it out. I know Miami's hot right now, and good Lord, my dude, is it Mike Daniel or Mike McDaniel? Because I get Josh McDaniel. It's Mike McDaniel.
All right.
I think it is. But
Yeah,
anyways, obviously his hilarious commentary on Justin Fields and telling him to stop. I loved it. But I think not an upset coming this week with the Browns, but I think they could make a definitive statement as far as just taking over the conference. Bills losing. There's 3 teams, man. I know who's the one dog. The Patriots are still kind of in the hunt there that they're not. They're in the 4th place spot. But I would like to see. Because Jimmy Haslam, I want to see Miami absolutely torch the Browns. So that would be my one. You know, if we're looking at numbers, let me see what the spread's on that game. But currently -3.5 for Miami. Hit that all day. But yeah, that's my one game. Rainey, you have any other games besides?
Yeah, I got Green Bay. Green Bay. I'm just going with shitty. Like,
you're going opposites here.
Shitty games. I'm going just games you need to watch. Okay. So Green Bay is gonna ride over Dallas, and check this: the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna beat Kansas City Chiefs.
I got a feeling, dude.
Let's go. What would not let's go, but like, let's just pray for crappy games to be good, and those are gonna be the ones right there.
But that's the thing.
This is a stinky week. Vegas is going to get their money back this week somehow, some way.
If I think you're onto something, Randy. I think the Jags, and here's the thing, I'll root for the Jags if that has these implications of KC being knocked down in the AFC. Obviously, that would be. But the Jags, and I said this from the beginning of the season in the AFC South, they were concerning to me because obviously. New head coach. Trevor had a new slate. Urban Meyer's not there anymore, which I'm sure all of Jacksonville is thanking God for that. Yeah, shucks. But all that to say, I mean, hey, if your boy comes back on Monday saying, "Hey, I took that money line or whatever it was for the Jags to actually beat KC," I won't be shocked.
Take the money line on Jags and take the money line on the Packers. It's happening because Dallas is going to fall.
It's about that time.
Yeah, I was going to say.
About the time of the season.
Yeah. One more topic here. We want to close this out because I know we're over our hour mark.
Let's close her out.
Close her out. All right.
Yeah. I'm the guest.
Rainey Ball, appreciate you joining. Obviously, everybody, if you're listening after the matter or if you're watching here live with us, appreciate you watching. Rainey's going to be, we'll be rotating in and out and love the contribution, love the conversation. Obviously, channel, go to Twitter at @channel_TN_. Follow them. Great content coming out of there, and so we're hoping to mix a little East Tennessee magic and obviously make some things be cooking. But appreciate you joining us, man, and tell everybody what you got going on, where they can find you in other platforms as well.
Yeah, just follow, like you said, channel TN_TN. Like, you just follow us there. Great content, always pushing out videos and stuff. It's fun. We're not some professional network. We're just with fans. We are fans. That's all we are, and it's fun. It's real fun. And thanks for having me on, dude. It's been a blast. Love talking to you guys. Love cutting up with you guys.
Yep.
It's great. Been fun as all get up. So
It's been a
Yes,
pleasure.
sir.
Give it to him, Trey.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're in Chattanooga this weekend, come out on Sunday, 12 o'clock social hour starts with our Chattanooga Titans fans, 1 o'clock kickoff, Tailgate Brewery. I'm going to throw their logo up here, either above my head or Chase's. I don't know, because every time I try and predict it, it's wrong. If I go
it's
But
going in your
tailgate-
blinds.
Yeah, Tailgate Brewery. It will be. It is a fantastic place. We take over the second story. Great beer, great drink. So make sure and check them out if you have not. Nashville base, just recently came out of the Chattanooga area. But Chase, any last words here? Obviously, chat10.com. I know we have some things maybe cooking and on social media as well. Where can they find Chat 10 Sports?
Yeah, man. You can follow us at Chat 10 Sports and then at chat10.com for articles, all that fun stuff. But also, if I'm going to give you one quick hitter, it is a total. You're over under 13 for the Tennessee Missouri game in the first quarter. Go hammer that at -1.5, or like 105. Like it's too good. It's too good. Vols will be mad. They will score at least 14 by themselves.
So what my guy here is saying is, go on your app, wherever you bet, whatever your preferred method is, murder that button and take in that first quarter. Yeah, and appreciate it, brother. I'm excited to come back Monday and see where we all line up with our predictions, because I'm gonna Rainey, if you got to roast me, I'll roast you, and Chase will do it the same. But appreciate the contributions. Thank you guys for checking us out, and we will check you next time. Have a great night. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chat